Space is blowing up. This is literally the time to be in it right now. You're putting a needle in yourself. Is that really what you want to be doing? The person willing to pay the most will end up getting that customer. Move with speed and get to market fast and find the model that works for you before CAC starts to rise up. You have competitors popping up left and right every single day.
What helps a brand stand out? How reliable is meta attribution for GLP-1 brands today?
What you're trying to do is create a creative engine. You're leaving dollars on the table if you're not using email SMS. But the fastest way to scale and get to market, which is very important right now, is going to be...
How reliable would you say is meta attribution for GLP-1 brands today?
I'd say about like 80%.
Are we happy with that?
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, you can always set up like custom conversions and custom backend. Would I do that immediately at like a few $1,000s per month? No, but data is going to be the most important thing here in order to move fast and set up these email SMS campaigns to do retargeting the right way. I've also had some people looking outside of email SMS have people call the people that filled out the intake form, right? So you fill out an intake form. There's like a call center that's calling them being like, hey, you did this. Like, we can offer you XYZ if you want to move forward, or what happened? Why'd you drop out? Obviously, in that case, you don't want to call them every 5 minutes so you're not spammy. But yeah, that's what I would say.
Are there any other retargeting strategies we can do to help drive conversions for GLP-1 campaigns?
You know what? I think a lot of people miss this, Michelle. Like, you're selling GLP, but not everyone's going to be qualified, right? Based on that intake pre-approval form that they fill out. So you might, coming back to data now, you might have people completing an intake form that are not qualified to even add that product to cart or meet with a doctor because they're not going to purchase it. Yeah. Why would you pay somebody? Let's say you took the intake form out completely. You're now paying for doctor consultations and you know they're not going to get approved just based on BMI. Yeah. So what I'm trying to get to here is like, you're building this ecosystem. You're offering weight loss for someone that's not qualified on that form. What could you do? Email SMS, retarget them with a supplement, a different product that doesn't require medication, so you can try to build your revenue from there, because otherwise they're a lost customer, right? So use that intake form and get them on supplements or get them on something else that would be valuable for them.
Right. Is that where having potentially side products or other offers could come into play if they're not qualified for your main offer?
100%. 100%. Because not everyone's going to be approved for that medication. So you could sell them on some sort of supplement that could help them out, because you're still leaving money on the table otherwise.
Right.
Like, you have all this information about this potential customer that you know is interested in weight loss that connects with your brand, but could you sell them and increase revenue from that form intake?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so let's talk about what a GLP-1 owner should be planning mapping out for 90 days. If they're, say, at 10K a month right now, how would you scale them to 50K or 500K a month?
I would first ask them a few questions. How are you acquiring your customers right now? Are you on meta ads or not? If they're not, they should get there. They might have other things going on, such as like affiliates, but affiliates are great and customer acquisition costs could be a little bit lower there. But the problem with affiliates is there's like little pops essentially of like sales that might come in. It's just not scalable. So the fastest way to acquire customers is through paid ads, specifically for GLP Meta. So are they using Meta? Do they have the right funnel in place? I've had people come to me that don't have the intake and they're like handling calls and blah, blah, blah. What backend provider are they using? Are they using email, SMS, all of these things?
Can you talk to us about backend provider? What exactly do you mean by that?
Yeah. So a few years ago, the space was more traditional in the sense that companies had to set up the operational CRM first that would connect the customer data to the doctors and then doctor to pharmacy integrations. Now there's tooling out there that pretty much does that for you, all the way from intake form imagine it being like a tool, like a CRM or like a data system. So you bring in potential customers who fill out the intake form, which the tooling can handle. It connects that customer, if they fill out and they're approved in the intake form, to the doctor. Then they can get their medication just through integrations based on the state that that customer is in. That gets automatically sent to the pharmacy. The pharmacy then provides the medication to the customer, essentially. So before it was all manual. Now it is just integrated with tooling that a lot of companies are offering now.
So if there's this similar backend to all these GLP-1 that all these GLP-1 brands are using, what helps a brand stand out or a company stand out from all the other ones?
And we see that on our calls with these founders. Like, we ask them this list of questions. How are you acquiring customers? What's your backend? And they all seem to mention one or the other backend provider that they're using. And these backend providers are charging like anywhere from like $3,000 per month to like $10,000 a month, depending on the level of service. But number one thing is that makes life easier for the founder, right? But now they have a cost to offset. Because we had one client that was using this back-end provider that was not getting any sales because they were not marketing. So let's say, imagine yourself, you're spending $5,000 to $10,000 a month just on this back-end tool, but there's no customers coming in. It's not going to make sense to you as a business. But I think more importantly than that is, we're hearing this since we work with so many GLP companies and telehealth companies. Everyone's saying we're using this provider, that provider. We're like, great. And originally, like, maybe one provider would offer better pricing, or they would offer a different customer service platform, blah, blah, blah. But now we're at the point, every single person that we meet is using one or the other or a different provider. So it's all the same. So it's all frictionless. Price points are all becoming similar. Everything, it's just like commoditized, essentially. Right? So all this tooling is commoditized. So how can you stand out? Marketing.
What's the next big change in GLP-1 marketing that's happening right now that most brands haven't noticed?
Just the GLP space, the biggest trend. I think there's going to be a lot of different products that these companies will have to soon be able to market. And some companies are doing that as well already. So I think the space is just going to continue to change over time with new product offerings, especially what I was mentioning with RFK Jr. trying to do, bringing in more peptides as well, making sure these compounding pharmacies can leverage them. But that's going to just increase market share and target market as well. Was that the full question?
Yeah. What have you learned in the last 30 days that's changed your strategy in the GLP-1 space?
That's always a good question. Last 30 days. Competition is rising because we see it from our end, because people are interested in working with us because we work with some of the largest GLP brands out there. So competition is rising, and we can see that because people are coming to us going like, hey guys, can you help us with this strategy and launching this business off? And there's bigger players coming into the market as well. And I think it just comes back down to, hey, what is the marketing strategy these companies are going to use to acquire those customers? And on top, another thing I just learned recently is retention. We all know this, but retention is important, and each product has different retention cohorts. So if you get them on a certain product, they might only stay along for so many months. Whereas like injectable is different just because how effective the medication is. So you're really looking at, you don't have control over this because I guess doctors have to prescribe, but if you're only selling oral, for example, like someone might not stay around for as longer than someone that's selling injectable, but then oral is cheaper than injectable. So like you have to kind of play around with business economics for your brand personally that you're trying to scale.
Interesting. And business economics, how often should you be evaluating that CAC, the initial cost to acquire the customer versus the lifetime value of that customer?
Yeah, I mean, your business is running on those numbers, right? Your LTV and CAC. Like we know in the GLP space, like your LTV can be anywhere from like $1,500 to $3,000 over a certain amount of period, and depending on the product as well. But you should be literally looking at these numbers like on a daily, if not a weekly basis. Obviously, having 1 day's worth of data, if you're spending $5,000 a month, is not going to be enough. But if you're spending 500, 600K, 800K, $1 million, like we were looking at those numbers very often for our clients.
Yeah. If you were starting a GLP-1 brand today, what would you do differently?
Very good question. If I were to do it, I don't want to come into the game where hims and hers and these other competitors are just willing to pay whatever they need just to acquire a customer. Just through like your general marketing, I would find an ICP that's going to stand out from the rest, double down on multiple offers there, test out those offers for those ICPs, and find one that's crushing.
What's changed in the last 6 to 12 months that most GLP-1 brands haven't adapted to?
I think just this, like the number of competitors coming into the space, people aren't being mindful of that. But at the same time, there's so much space for these competitors to come on board because the market is increasing quite a bit. So I really think what's going to happen and make the GLP companies that are going to become the hims and hers are going to be around branding and positioning along with customer service, right? Because the retention piece, what's going to happen is your CAC's going to go up. So for your business economics to make sense and to be able to be profitable, you need to retain these customers. Before it was, hey, your CAC's coming in, perfect. The CAC is super low. We're profitable month number 1. We don't really care about the customer service or customer journey. If someone's having a product that got shipped out, but like the injectable was broken or the glass was broken, it's taken 3 or 4 days for someone to reply back. That's not going to work. It's going to be around 2 things, customer journey and like service, I should say. And then also your branding. How are you connecting to your audience for your GLP brand? You can't just put out these simple ads with no Facebook, Instagram profile, like bam, let me just get like patients that way. Might work for the short term, but for longer term companies, you're going to want to focus on branding and also customer service.
Definitely. What's the biggest lesson from Fortune 500 companies that you use or help use to scale GLP-1 brands today?
I think speed is important. And like all these questions seem to be like interacting with themselves now. Like there's so much competition. Who's willing to go to market first with which strategy, with which landing page? How soon can you make changes? How many ads are you pumping out? At what speed are you pumping out? So speed is going to become critical. It already is, to be honest. If you're sitting here, like we had one client that signed up for a backend provider, didn't have a website, did not have a funnel set up, signed up for the backend provider, set all that up while we were putting strategy together. In 3 months, we had launched. They were hitting like $100 CACs, and now they're $1 million company just within 5-6 months. So that's speed. And funny enough, we had a potential client reach out to us like just last month, telling me, hey, I signed up for this backend provider at the same time that it's a client that we just helped. And I asked him, I'm like, oh, how many sales are you getting? He's like, oh, I'm getting like 2 or 3 sales a month, if that. And we're like, you just lost 6 months of time. Like you should have been doing this way before. And then he started going, hey, like SEO is the way to get customers. Yeah, it's going to take 6 to 12 months for that to start kicking in. Like at that point, CAC's already gone up. There's more competitors. So move with speed.
It's been a pleasure speaking to you today, Harsh, and we'll hopefully have you again back soon.
Perfect. Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you.